Hello, and I'm Aaron Cozort, and now another word for the family. The last time we looked at Psalm 15, we considered the things that we read about in verse 2, that the one who abides with God is one who walks uprightly, works righteousness, and speaks the truth in his heart. But then there's a contrast. We come down to verse 3, again, Psalm 15, verse 3, and the one who abides in the tabernacle with God, the one who abides in the house of the Lord, the one who dwells in fellowship with God, there's some things that he doesn't do. Notice, who does not backbite with his tongue, nor does evil to his neighbor, nor does he take up a reproach against his friend. So here's some things the righteous person, the one who dwells with God, does. He walks uprightly, works righteousness, speaks the truth in his heart, and he doesn't backbite with his tongue. If you're going to dwell with God, if you're going to have a home and a family where God is the midst of that family, you're not going to be talking bad about people. You're not going to be backbiting. You're not going to be stabbing people in the back with your words. Sometimes there are people who can't find anything nice to say. Well, there's an adage that goes back to my childhood that says if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. The righteous person, they don't use their tongue for destruction of others. So often when people are backbiting others, it's so that they look better. It's a problem primarily with pride. If we're going to have a righteous home, if we're going to have a home where we abide with God, we're not going to be backbiting against others. But then consider, secondly, nor does evil to his neighbor. Now, you may say, well, I treat my neighbors on either side of me really good. The guy down the street, though, I don't really like him, and he and I don't have a... No. Remember Jesus said, who is my neighbor? Or Jesus was asked, who is my neighbor? And Jesus said, everyone, when he gave that parable. So we've got to consider that the one who is righteous, he does not do evil to his neighbor. But then consider thirdly, nor does he take up a reproach against his friend. When we think about those who came into the life of David, the psalmist here, when you consider some of the individuals who he dealt with, some of which were good friends and then turned against him, you can see the heart behind this passage. The one who abides with the Lord, he doesn't take up a reproach against his friends. Now, that's not to say that he doesn't rebuke them when they need rebuking. That's not what we're talking about. This is one who doesn't oppose his friends for his own self-interest. Do we want to abide with the Lord? Do we want to abide in his house? Do we want to have a home and a family where God is the center? Then we've got to teach love. We've got to teach true love that puts others above ourselves. Notice that every single one of these things that the psalmist says, the one who abides with the Lord, they don't do these things. All of them are how we act towards others. If you're going to train your children, if you're going to lead your family in a way that leads them to the Lord, first let's examine how we treat others, how we treat our neighbors, how we treat those around us, and how we treat our friends. And let's teach our children to abide in the tabernacle of the Lord. This has been a word for the family.